I just got out of seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I certainly have some thoughts on it. Stuff I was excited about, and stuff I'm not completely sold on. This is going to be a spoiler review of the movie, so there's a spoiler warning. Go see this movie, go form your own opinion on it, and when you're done, come back and we can talk about it. If you've seen the movie, welcome. Let's talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day. So to kick the video off, we're going to talk about the positives of what I really think this movie excelled in and what I really loved seeing on the big screen. My number one favorite thing about this movie was the relationship between the Punisher and Spider-Man. That was incredible. Seeing Jon Bernthal come into the big screen as Punisher alongside Spider-Man was the best part of the movie. The chemistry between them was incredible. You could tell that they are friends in this universe, but also friends in real life, and it was just such a fun time. Seeing the Punisher's hard-head bastard Spider-Man's go-lucky attitude was so incredibly fun to watch, especially in that Hulk fight scene where the Punisher is completely outmatched against the Hulk. It is hilarious, and that is the best part of the movie for me. Speaking of the Hulk, I am so freaking excited to have Savage Hulk back. It was so fun after almost a decade of him being Smart Hulk or just Bruce Banner to see the Hulk actually return to the savage monster that he is in the comics. Watching him rip through the building and throw Spider-Man around like he was nothing was incredible. And I also like how it showed that Spider-Man cannot beat the Hulk. What beat him was his own humanity, the Bruce Banner inside the Hulk, and all those walls of the entire building holding the Hulk back. If Spider-Man did not web him up, Spider-Man was done. He was cooked. Like, that was the best part of the Hulk for me, is that we got to finally see the rage-filled machine back on the big screen. Marvel, do us a favor and keep the Hulk this way. We want to see the Hulk go crazy again. That is the whole fun of the Hulk, is watching him smash stuff, and it was so awesome to see that again. Another huge pro of this movie is the practical filmmaking that they implemented finally for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It is so awesome. You can tell that they practically have him swinging around city streets. Like, you're getting so many amazing shots of Spider-Man swinging that we've never seen Tom Holland actually do. You know, in the previous movies, it was always CGI, and we got very little of him swinging around New York. The fact that they actually took giant cranes into the city and had Tom swing around shows in this movie, and it's incredible to watch. The web swinging is back. It feels like the web swinging from TASM 2, and it's freaking beautiful on the big screen. That alone, the practical filmmaking of this, is what really makes this movie stand out compared to a lot of other Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Another huge thing of the filmmaking for me in this movie is the costume design. I feel like everyone's costume in this movie is freaking awesome. Tom Holland finally has a Spider-Man suit that actually folds. It feels real. It's not CGI. They didn't put him in the gray suit and just worry about it in post, and that means something. To actually have Spider-Man in a homemade costume that he has to repair really does a lot for the character. The Punisher design of this movie feels real to the universe that we've set up. If you've watched the Punisher shows, it's basically that costume, just a little bit amplified and a little bit better for the big screen. The Scorpion. My one thing with the Scorpion costume, I wish they gave him the helmet, but I get it. You want to show the actor's face off, and I still think it's a great design that fits in with the universe that they set up with the Vulture and the Shocker and all those villains from Homecoming. Another huge thing for me of this movie is Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Amazing casting, and we've known that for a long time. Now, for years, you would get hate if you said, oh, Tom's the best Spider-Man, Tom's the best Spider-Man. He is. Andrew is personally my favorite, but in reality, Tom is the most accurate Spider-Man we have ever gotten on the big screen. He has had the most feats, he has done the most things, he looks the most like Spider-Man, he acts the most like Peter Parker. Tom Holland is Spider-Man, and it really shows in this movie. He does a great job of honoring the character and really showing what he can finally do when he's actually being allowed to play Spider-Man and not Iron Boy Jr. Another huge pro for me in this movie is the fight scenes when we actually get them. Again, goes into the practical filmmaking. The way that they shot these fight scenes is so incredible. Watching him go ham on the Scorpion and the inspirations they've gotten from the PS4, PS5 Spider-Man games are huge. You can feel the filmmaking behind the fight scenes and that everything was choreographed and planned out, but also had amazing inspiration from comic book media, animated media, video game media, and past Spider-Man movies. The fight scenes, when they are in the movie, such as the fight scene with Scorpion where he throws him into the cop car. The fight scene with the Hulk was incredible. Watching him web swing through the building and kick him multiple times, web him up and attach him to those walls was a great fight scene. So also that opening scene where he's chasing the tank and he's taking out the turrets, beautiful. It was beautiful. It was great. It finally felt like Tom Holland was allowed to play Spider-Man, was allowed to do the crazy stuff that we want to see Spider-Man do in New York. And that was a huge standout for me in this movie compared to previous Spider-Man movies starring Tom Holland. Now, this brings me to the cons that I had with the movie. This movie is not perfect. I see a lot of people online saying it's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And listen, I did enjoy my time in the theater, but it wasn't the greatest Spider-Man movie in my opinion. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to hate on the movie or kill anybody's excitement for it. I was super excited for this movie. There are some flaws with it that I think definitely hurt this movie. Some flaws that they did in this movie, in my opinion, but also flaws that are carrying over from previous takes that they did with this character that I feel like really show and hurt this movie a lot. So let's talk about it. My number one issue with this movie is they spoiled the entire thing in the trailers. It's like we're living through Homecoming again, I swear. They show you everything that's gonna be cool in this movie in a 2-minute trailer. And that's quite disappointing, you know? When I'm seeing the coolest thing Spider-Man does in this movie, his big web thing at the very end with all the ninjas where he webs them up and then throws them all around and webs them to the wall. When I'm seeing that in the trailer, I'm thinking, whoa, I wonder what other epic stuff he's gonna do in the movie. Not, this is going to be the coolest thing he does, let's put it in the trailer. Just blows my mind. Why are you putting that in the trailer? You're ruining your big climactic battle. Now I've seen it. I know how this is going to go. I feel like they spoiled way too much in the trailer. We saw way too much of the Hulk fight. We saw way too much of the Scorpion fight. We saw way too much of this movie in the trailer, and they should have toned it back. The only thing that they didn't show in the trailer was Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, or they tried to hide her, which is my second biggest problem with this movie. Jean Grey being the villain. I'm not a fan of it. Spider-Man has the second best rogues gallery in all of comics, right behind Batman. You mean to tell me you couldn't find one villain, one of his iconic villains? Jean Grey is an X-Men. She's a hero. You're setting up your X-Men movie for her to be a hero by making her the villain of probably one of your biggest movies yet? It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, a lot of general audience members are going to remember her as the villain from Spider-Man Brand New Day rather than the hero and leader of the X-Men. I don't know why you decided to do that. I understand you want to set up your X-Men. You want to set up your future. This was not the movie to do that. The movie to do that would have been something else, or guess what? An X-Men movie, not a Spider-Man movie where we finally get Tom Holland being a street-level hero. And the backstory they gave her, I wasn't that big of a fan of. They want you to feel something when her sister gets taken. Right after, they show her sister invading a bunch of people's bodies. Like, yeah, that's really dangerous. No wonder the DODC captured her. That's freaking scary. Imagine you were that girl in the park and your body got taken over. You'd be like, yeah, go capture this girl. Like, it doesn't make me feel like, oh man, I feel really bad for her. I don't. That's dangerous. She's toying with stuff she probably shouldn't have. The Department of Damage Control would 100% have taken her for doing stuff like that. It doesn't make me feel sympathy for Jean Grey. It really doesn't. And again, it's because she should not have been in this movie, and she definitely should not have been the villain of this movie. If you want to throw her in, they could have teamed up to fight someone better, and that could have been your backdoor pilot for the X-Men, not making her the bad guy. I don't like that decision, and I think there was a lot of other decisions that they could have made to make a better villain, in my opinion. Another huge thing for me was the villains that we did actually get that are Spider-Man villains, you didn't show enough of. I love the comic recreation of the covers. I really do. I think that's beautiful, and I think it's beautiful shots. But I think it would have paid off a lot better if you just showed a little bit more to the fight. We saw the tarantula shot in the first trailer. We saw the boomerang shot in the first trailer. And it goes back to the trailer. You spoiled everything in the trailer, in my opinion. But on top of that, give us a little bit more to the fight that all leads up to that iconic shot, and then give us a little bit after where Spider-Man defeats them. Because honestly, the way it comes off right now is like 2016 Suicide Squad when they're going through all their like files and you see cool clips of Deadshot. Like, yeah, it's cool, but it means nothing. Show us the fight. And if you're going to incorporate them in the movie with a telepath who can take over people's bodies, have them come back and fight Spider-Man at the end in the prison that they're probably in. Like, have them come back and fight him with her taking over the... How much cooler would that have been if the ending battle was between him, the ninjas, Scorpion, Boomerang, Tarantula, and Tombstone? All those villains that we saw in the opening of the movie are mad, and they're back, and they're taken over by Jean Grey to fight Spider-Man. There's your third act climactic battle. There it is. You get that Spider-Man villain fight, but you have the big bad controlling them if you're going to make Jean Grey the villain, which I don't think you should have. Now, another problem I have with this movie that relates to other Spider-Man movies. My biggest problem with this movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. And now let me explain. As the years go on, I grow more and more of a distaste for that movie because of what it is doing to Tom Holland's Spider-Man and how it's going to affect the way that they write this character and the stories they're going to tell in the future. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but that movie should have been its own separate movie and not Tom Holland's third Spider-Man movie. In my opinion, that movie has done irreparable damage to Tom Holland's Spider-Man is because you gave him a bunch of hand-me-down villains of the most iconic Spider-Man villains ever. Doc Ock, Sandman, Green Goblin, his arch nemesis, all hand-me-downs. They are all hand-me-downs from Tobey and Andrew. He can't even fight Electro and Lizard without knowing who they are now. Which, this is why I can't fault the filmmakers of this movie. They didn't have very many Spider-Man villains to choose from anymore. They've already done the Vulture, they've already done Mysterio, and now Tom Holland's Spider-Man has met his other big supervillains. How do you make a Spider-Man movie where all the big Spider-Man villains Tom Holland's already met? It's a lot harder, so I can't fault the filmmakers of this movie for going in a different direction with Jean Grey. By introducing Willem Dafoe back and Alfred Molina back to play those iconic characters, Spider-Man's main villains, you've completely eliminated the possibility of Tom Holland facing off against his own Green Goblin, facing off against his own Doc Ock, and the amazing stories you could have told with those characters, with those villains. You've completely annihilated that and left future writers with very little characters, especially villains, to write into Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe because you gave him hand-me-down villains. You shouldn't have done that. Now, I know the original idea for No Way Home was to have Kraven in the movie, and Sony stepped in and said, no, you can't do that, so they changed it around, and that's how we got the No Way Home that we did. I do believe No Way Home deeply, deeply, deeply hurt this movie, in my opinion. I really do believe that. If No Way Home didn't use those villains, we wouldn't have a Spider-Man movie where the main villain is an X-Men character. We maybe would have seen one of those villains redone. And I know people are going to say, oh, Willem Dafoe's the only person that can play the Green Goblin. Alfred Molina is the only person that can play Doc Ock. You didn't even give somebody else the chance. You didn't even give another actor the chance to play Norman Osborn. You didn't even give somebody else the chance to play Dr. Otto Octavius. You didn't. I could see if you tried and they weren't that good, the internet hated it, and then you wanted to do this multiverse story where you bring them back. Great, whatever. You didn't even give somebody the chance to do a really good representation of the Green Goblin once again, to do a really good representation of Doc Ock in this universe. And what you were setting up with this universe could have worked so well for them and Oscorp. Imagine if the DODC worked hand in hand with Oscorp. They take the tech, they give it to Oscorp. Oscorp is the company behind taking the alien technology and making the weaponry for the DODC, for the government. Boom, now you explain how the Green Goblin can make a glider in a warsuit. You've explained how Doc Ock can make his octopus arms. You've explained just about every single villain by that one thing. And now you're kind of left with like change. You're left with scraps to make a villain of the Spider-Man movies. And I'm not a big fan of that. Tom Holland cannot fight the Green Goblin. He's gonna know Norman Osborn. Oh yeah, that's the dude that killed my aunt. But I'm gonna stay away from that dude. Oh, Dr. Otto Octavius, isn't that the guy that beat me up on the bridge with big metal arms? Yeah, I'm not gonna go work under that guy. I'll just wait till he becomes a villain and I'll stop him because I already know how to just by fixing his inhibitor chip. Like, it ruins it. It ruins it for me. You might think this is nitpicking. I think it's well worth saying. Something that doesn't make sense to me is Tom in this movie throws himself into being Spider-Man. He throws himself, and because of that, his DNA is mutating, which I like that idea. I think that's really cool. I like having the natural web shooters grow inside of him. I like him getting heightened senses and heightened strength, getting that arachnid DNA. I like that idea. But by that standard, wouldn't Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, who did the same exact thing that Tom is doing right now, have had that in No Way Home? Because we pick up with him like 5 years after being Spider-Man, wouldn't he have mutated DNA as well? Like, he doesn't have that yet. So it's not adding up to me why Tom and Andrew can both throw themselves into being Spider-Man, but Tom, after 4 years, gets mutated DNA. Andrew doesn't, though. And Andrew lost his girlfriend. She died. She's dead. Zendaya's out there. Like, Tom can go get her back as he's trying to do in this movie. Like, she's around the corner. Gwen Stacy's dead. And you mean to tell me Andrew's hormones didn't spike and he didn't become like the man spider thing? Like, come on. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the world that you have established. Overall, I did enjoy my theater experience, but it didn't deliver exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping for more stuff with more different villains. I was very disappointed by the villain choice that they did go with. It's been 5 years since Tom Holland's last Spider-Man, and I left the movie feeling I wish they went in a different direction. But I blame a lot of that on Spider-Man No Way Home and what they decided to do all the way back in 2021. I think that really set up the future of Tom Holland Spider-Man movies to be a lot harder to write, especially iconic villains. So what did you think of the movie? Did you agree with my take? Did you disagree? Let me know down below by leaving a comment. I'd love to chat about it with you guys and see your thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Have a chill day.